So unfortunately, Isle of Dogs is not playing anywhere in my state until mid next week, so I went to go see Unsane instead, and to be honest, I'm not really complaining all that much. Unsane is directed by Steven Soderbergh, and it stars Claire Foy. And the only other notable name in this movie, I guess, would be Juno Temple. And I've always been really impressed with her acting ability, and the role that she plays in this movie is honestly pretty demanding, but I'll get to that a little bit later. There's also a really awesome cameo in this movie that I won't spoil for you guys, don't worry. But when it happens, it's pretty cool because it just kind of catches you off guard, and you're just like, holy shit, you're in this movie? That's cool. You do this a lot, don't you? But okay, so despite me having some issues with this film that I'll definitely get into later, I still found myself really enjoying Unsane. I was really never bored throughout this entire film, and the acting was pretty brilliant. I mean, Claire Foy, the one who stars in this movie, she did a brilliant job. She had a fairly demanding role. I mean, she has to convey a plethora of different emotions in this film. There's times in this film where she has to convey sheer hopelessness. There's times in this film where she has to be kind of manipulative. There's times in this film where she has to, convey a very angry, confused, disoriented persona. And, she had a lot to do in this film, and she had a lot to try and work for and really try hard to convey these emotions, legitimately and convincingly. And I gotta say, my honest opinion, she really knocked it out of the park. And going back to Juno Temple's character in this movie, she had such a demanding role the same way that Claire Foy did, but her role in this movie is pretty unflattering, pretty gringy, for lack of a better word, to be honest. But I actually really admire that. Like, I love it when pretty actresses really go for these unflattering roles, and, they're not really scared to lose any kind of sex appeal that they may have had. Because it just really shows a deep tenacity and deep passion for their art and for their work. Especially with somebody like Juno Temple, who has just this absolutely adorable, cute baby face. And it actually sucks because I guarantee you that it's what's holding her career back in terms of being a more dominant A-list actress. She has an incredible acting talent, but I feel like a lot of directors and casters probably don't want to cast her because, at least cast her for like these main lead roles for these bigger, more important films. Mainly, just because of her face. They're probably looking for a more mature looking face that can like resemble and reflect a more powerful role that's more kind of badass. So to me, it's just really awesome to see her take roles like this because, it kind of shows, it's kind of proving to people that yes, she can be more dynamic and she can take these unflattering roles despite her having a really cute ass baby ass face. One thing that I really felt that this film did right was its ability to really make you feel trapped, quartered, and just straight up helpless. Which most, mental institution movies tend to do anyway. But I could tell that this film really wanted to make sure that you felt that, and I thought it did a great job at doing that through its aesthetics. There's also like 2 or 3 sequences in this film that I thought were pretty impressive in terms of its stylistic ability to really like immerse you into the moment. There's one scene in particular that happens near the 3rd act that involves 2 characters having a private dialogue exchange in a padded room, which also includes a very impressive monologue by Claire Foy. And to me, it was by far the best scene in the film. It's almost something that like you would see out of a theater play, and I just thought it was very well done and really did a great job at, again, kind of sucking you into that moment and making you kind of feel what the main character is feeling. Okay, so as far as things that I really didn't like about the film, mainly has to do with its script. I thought it was very simplistic and not very thought-provoking. And that's probably intentional, considering that we've had tons of insane asylum movies that explore these kinds of themes on a deeper level. But it still just kind of left me underwhelmed. The first act of this movie attempts to do what pretty much every insane asylum movie does, which is kind of roll with the, oh, is she crazy or is she not crazy approach. But it kind of squishes that bug very early, and it gives you a pretty clear picture of what's actually going on. And, I can appreciate its attempt, of trying to be different from what we're conventionally used to seeing. But at the same time, it kind of removed a lot of the mystery that I kind of wanted to get, especially from an insane asylum thriller. And in general, again, this really isn't a thought-provoking movie. it's definitely more focused on narrative than it is about theme or character. There are themes in this movie that it wants to convey for sure, and it certainly did convey, but it's incredibly straightforward, and it really has absolutely no shame in just straight up spoon feeding it to you, which again I'm sure is intentional, but even if it is intentional, I still found it to lose its impact, and again just to be not really thought provoking. The ending to this movie is also very bleh and uninspiring, and it just feels like really rushed and lazy. And I was looking on this guy's IMDb, Steven Soderbergh, and this guy is like always pumping out movies like all the time. Like if he has a movie coming out, there's probably one in production, or there's one in pre-production, or there's two movies, one in pre-production and one in production as there's one coming out. And it's just like, this dude is always pumping out movies. And I know that he didn't write the script to this movie. He didn't write the script to Unsane. But I just feel that maybe if he would have just relaxed and really sat down and completely just gave his full, effort to this and really just thought about what he wanted for this film, it probably would have resulted in a much more meaningful piece of filmmaking. And I'm not 100% sure on that. I could just be talking out my ass, and maybe this entire thing was 100% intentional, and this was his absolute creative effort and vision. He gave it entirely his all, and I'm just being a fucking asshole. Either way, I still found this film to be an engaging experience. There really wasn't a single time in this movie where I felt like I was uninterested, so I'm gonna give Unsane a 7 out of 10. It really was an entertainingly solid flick. It just had some gaping issues that kind of seemed really hard to apologize for. But alright, thank you so much for checking out this video and hearing what I had to say about Unsane. Make sure to be on the lookout next week for a review for Thoroughbreds and Isle of Dogs, two films that I've been highly anticipating. So again, if you really like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the Misfit Pawn channel to be updated on more film-related content.